What's up? This is Elan Jones, and there are so many things to talk about, but I do want to touch on some things today pertaining to this. So, first of all, they're calling out light skinned Black women for disgracing the race, basically. I want to know, number one, is B. Simone fully Black? Because she looks biracial to me. Her and her sister look biracial to me. I tried to confirm and I couldn't find anything. What I did find actually was that she's of Filipino descent. So I don't know. But she may not be biracial. She just looks biracial to me. I just wanted to point that out. So it'd be nice if somebody can confirm if she's a light-skinned Black woman like they're saying. Secondly, they're trying to shade light-skinned women yet again. And they're also trying to cause a rift between Latinas and light-skinned women this time. So there are YouTubers who talk about light-skinned and biracial women all day, every day, 365. And today, the topic is B. Simone and this video that she made, a comedic video that she made about Danileigh. B. Simone was joking around and exaggerating like comedians do. And B. Simone and Danileigh are friends. They both know the same people, and she jokes about the situation to be funny. They drag the whole thing out to left field. They're calling her a pedophile. She's jealous of Latinas. She has low self-esteem, and she's misrepresenting all Black women. Now Black women, dark-skinned women in particular, are now inserting themselves into conversations and situations that have nothing to do with them. They've been doing this lately. First, it's light-skinned people are separate from us. They're not our allies. They're not Black. And now, for some reason, dark-skinned women are identifying with light-skinned and mixed women. So much so that they're offended by things like this by association. First, they're not fully Black like you, and they don't represent your image. And now they represent all Black women's image. They're trying to include light-skinned and biracial women in their activism now too. When just yesterday, everything was chocolate only, right? And we all remember that. This happened recently, actually, with Ivy Park. They had these two Russian women who had tans and they were dressed urban and they looked like mixed women or light-skinned women. And it was on the Ivy Park page. Dark-skinned women inserted themselves into that and got outraged that they were Black fishing, quote unquote. Not mixed fishing, Black fishing. Now it's Black fishing. There were dark-skinned women in the ads on that page. It had nothing to do with stealing jobs from dark-skinned people. The outrage was not about light-skinned people losing opportunity. Nobody would care about that. It was just to harm the Russian women. Light-skinned women were used so that dark-skinned women could come for European women that day. I want to point this out. When the Russian models were attacked, and watch other videos where they have the breakdown of the whole story because they have the screenshots. But when the Russian models were attacked, they said that dark-skinned women specifically were attacking them. When they were cyberbullied, they stood up for themselves. Russian people also stood up for them. They stood together in solidarity. Now here's a video where a Latina SJW is trying to tell her people that they have privilege. This is how they responded. All I could think is, it would be nice if light-skinned people could stand up for themselves. Light-skinned people are conditioned to not like themselves, and they have over-identification issues, and this makes them completely apathetic. Even worse than that, they'll create anti-light-skin content. Light-skinned people will create anti-light-skin content. Light-skinned people will use anti-light-skin language. Online, offline. And I think a part of the apathy is light-skinned people at this point, especially light-skinned Black people, they might consider this whole thing trivial or petty, and they don't want to pay it any mind, so they'll ignore it. But you have to understand what we're dealing with. We're dealing with an IQ problem. People with average or below average IQ are eating this anti-light skin colorism shit up. Average means most of the population, right? And average to below average also means a lack of critical thinking. Average to below average IQ. They don't know what's actually going on. These are facts, and this is how every society is. Most people are in the average range, average to below average. You live amongst these people. If you're light skinned and this is not affecting your life now, it's going to eventually. I know it's affecting light skinned people's lives now, though, yet light skinned people don't say anything. And I'm going to break down why. So I'm going to start with learned helplessness. Learned helplessness happens when a human or an animal experiences a stressful event or a stressful situation repeatedly, and where they experience discomfort, pain, or suffering for so long that they got used to it and they stopped fighting against it because they know they can't do anything to avoid it or stop it. So they learn to be helpless. How this plays out on social media, where people are being canceled and reputations are being destroyed, is nobody stands up for light-skinned people via a video or in the comment section. The comment section is super important because not seeing anybody speak up teaches the average person that everybody's okay with the situation and that everything the content creator is saying must be true because everybody's agreeing with it. They're seeing the same thing over and over. Anybody who has a problem with what's being said is going to feel outnumbered. They're going to feel helpless. And people in the mid-range, mid to lower IQ range, don't like to feel mental discomfort, and they like to blend in with everybody else, and they just want everything to be just safe, and they don't want any issues. There are so many negative videos on here and other platforms about light-skinned people that everyone in the comment section agrees with. And when you see that every single video about light-skinned people is like this, you start to get used to it and accepting it, and you start believing it, and you think it's useless to stand up against it. Then you meet the cousin of learned helplessness, which is Stockholm Syndrome. This is where you make friends with and stand up for the people that are abusing you. All of these things happen in abusive relationships, and it actually takes up to 7 times for the average person to leave an abusive relationship. So light-skinned people are going to continue to accept how other Black people are treating them for a while before they get sick and tired and end up doing something about it. Sometimes, though, if you wait too long, it can be too late. This situation actually reminds me of what happened to the Jews in Nazi Germany. And I did a video about this already, about propaganda techniques, but I want to revisit it. So, Jewish people were not expecting to be exterminated. Over the span of several years, they became more and more marginalized, and eventually there were laws against them. And some Jews left Germany, some as in a couple 100,000. A few years before the final solution. This is once they realized what was happening. But others didn't want to leave their home, and the rest just didn't think that things would get that bad. So how it happened was, Germany was having issues. Hitler scapegoated German Jews and blamed them for the country's issues. Germans accepted that, and they turned on the Jews. Hitler used specific propaganda techniques to brainwash Germans into hating the Jews. Hitler caused the German government to use all media outlets, and the radio was the most popular, to brainwash everybody, to brainwash the Germans with anti-Jewish messages. The German government actually gave free radios to people who couldn't afford radios just so they can hear those hate speeches against the Jews. And each year, things got worse for the Jews. Other countries knew about it. The Jews got used to it. They got used to being treated a certain way. Now this is learned helplessness. And they just dealt with it the best that they could. They didn't think to leave. Fast forward to one night in Germany where they started killing hundreds of Jews, burning down their houses and their worship centers, their synagogues. Then Jews started to get the message that things were getting serious and they wanted to flee. When they tried to leave and seek asylum in other countries, they were turned away because over time it became harder and harder to leave because some countries started limiting the number of Jewish refugees. Then the Jews weren't safe in the countries that they got to flee to because at that point they were under German rule. So actually, Anne Frank, her family fled from Germany to the Netherlands, and that's where they lived for a couple years in hiding until they were eventually found by the Nazis and then sent to the extermination camps. And it's really sad because these countries knew what was happening, but they simply did not care. They claimed they didn't know exactly what was happening during the Holocaust to the Jews, but they did. They just didn't care enough. And it was too shameful for them to admit that. So they just pretended like they didn't know. So the fact of the matter is, people do not care. It's up to you to care about yourself. The Jews did not think that Germany would do that to them. They thought they were dealing with human beings with a conscience. They wouldn't have ever imagined that that would happen to them. Well, this story is a great example of what people who are average to below average intelligence do when they're brainwashed by propaganda. All of Germany was brainwashed into believing that it was okay to mass exterminate Jews. Hitler single-handedly did this to the Jews. Why? Because he could. Because he was a nobody who wanted recognition. So there's a German word for remorse, which I can't begin to pronounce. But I want to say I wouldn't allow it to get to that point where Black America even tried to come up with a word like that, even tried to come up with some sort of initiative like that, because I would have been long gone. This Simone situation in particular is being used to pit light-skinned people against Latinas, light-skinned Black people against Latinas, so that you can't have associating with Latinos now as an option. They're going to do this under your nose with all potential allies, slowly, while you're asleep, so that you're stuck within this abusive relationship with Black America. And this is a shame that a lot of light-skinned people are falling for this, a lot of people in general. And I hope Hispanic women are not falling for this. A lot of us Black people grew up with Latinos. A lot of us Black people have Latino friends, and they're trying to mess that up. They're coming from way over there from some other country with no desire to befriend Latinos or whatever, because they are far removed from that, and they're trying to mess your situation up. All of these colorism and feminism channels are coming from non-ADOS people. They're giving non-Black people seminars about light skin privilege, this and that. They're on mainstream networks. They brainwash light skin and biracial people to advocate against themselves. This is all strategy. For what reason? I don't know. But why did Hitler do it? These people are bold. And this goes for whoever is making content like this. They're going to say whatever they want because you as a light-skinned person never stands up for yourself. What you can do is speak up in the comment section, because when you see a different comment, especially if it's the truth, it gives people courage and hope. This is everybody. Everybody is relieved when they see somebody speaking the truth in the comment section, especially on a really terrible video. Some people are driven to despair when they watch certain videos because they just believe that all is hopeless. That is not good at all. I'll tell you that they're not being honest about, and they are not focusing on the mental health issue in Black America and the suicide issue. And social media will bring you there. So this is me making my contribution, trying to urge people to do their part. Leave a comment. It's not the biggest deal. Leave a comment. Say something. I'll catch you in my next video.